chosen one. Yes, you. The one who felt the air change a moment ago before you knew why. The one who paused this without deciding to because some quiet part of you already suspected it was going to say your name. Before we begin, do something for me. Sit down. If there's a door near you, close it, not to shut anyone out, just so the room belongs to us for a little while. Put your phone face down on the table, screen against the wood, where nothing can reach in and pull at you while we talk. Unclench your jaw. You didn't notice you were holding it. Most chosen ones don't. And now, breathe out. All the way out. Not a polite little breath, the long one, the one that empties you completely, and let the next breath arrive on its own, without you asking it to. Good. That's the chosen one I'm speaking to. Now listen, because something has shifted, and you were meant to hear it in this exact hour and no other. The ones who walked out on you are about to see exactly what they left. Not the version of you they remember, the version that grew in the room after they closed the door behind them. And somewhere, in a room you are not in, when the full shape of it lands, the temperature is going to drop. The air is going to go cold and still, the way it does when a person finally understands what they threw away, and understands, in the same breath, that it is too late to walk back in and pick it up. That is what tonight is about. But I am going to make you wait for the who and the what, because if I hand it to you too early, you will do something small with it, and this is not a small thing. For now, let me stay with you, because you have been carrying a wrong story, and I want to take it off your shoulders before we go one step further. You have believed for a long time that when they left, they took something with them, that the room got smaller when the door shut, that some essential piece of your life walked out attached to their coat, and you have been living in the draft ever since, in a house that never quite got warm again. I need to tell you that you had the direction exactly backward. Nothing left with them. Something was left with you. And it has been growing this entire time, in the quiet, in the space they're leaving opened up, in a room you thought was empty and was actually just clearing ground. You have spent these seasons mistaking a beginning for a loss. Think about the ones who walked out. Not the pain of it. Set the pain to one side for a moment. We will come back for it. Think about the leaving itself, mechanically. Somebody decided you were finished growing. Somebody concluded they had already seen the whole of you, that the version in front of them was the final draft, that there was nothing left in you worth staying for. That is the assumption every leaver makes. They did not just leave you. They left a verdict. This one is done. This one is finished. What you see is what there is. That verdict is the thing that just broke, because you were not finished. You were barely started. The person they walked out on was a seed they mistook for a stone, and the moment they stopped standing over it deciding what it was allowed to be, it did the only thing a seed knows how to do. It grew, in the dark, without permission, faster than anyone was there to see. If this is landing where it's meant to land, chosen one, do one small thing before we go deeper. Tap the like and subscribe. Not for me, I want to be clear about that, because this is not that kind of ask. This message goes further when it moves, and somewhere out there right now is a person sitting in a cold room they think is empty, believing that what left them was the best of them. Pass this to them. Let it reach the next chosen one who needs it tonight. That is the whole mission, and you moving it forward is how it gets there. Now, let me tell you what has actually been happening in that room you thought was empty. The growth had to be unwitnessed. That is the first hard thing to understand, and it will reframe every lonely season you survived. What grew in you could not have grown in front of them. It needed the door closed. It needed the absence of the eyes that had already decided what you were. Because a person watched by someone who has made up their mind about them cannot change. Every attempt to grow gets measured against the old verdict and folded back into it. You reach and they say, "That's not like you." You shift and they say, "You've always been this way." The watcher becomes a mold, and you set into the shape of their expectation, and you call it being known. They left and the mold came off. That is what nobody tells you about being walked out on. The first thing you feel is the cold. The second thing, much later, if you survive the cold, is the strangest kind of room to breathe in. Because the person who knew exactly who you were supposed to be is gone. And for the first time in a long time, nobody is holding a fixed picture of you against your face and asking you to match it. You did not notice it happening. That is by design. Real growth does not announce itself. You went to bed one version of yourself and got up a slightly different one, and the difference was too small to see from the inside. And it happened again the next night and the next. So patient and so quiet that you assumed nothing was changing at all. You thought you were just surviving. You were being rebuilt, one unwatched night at a time, into someone the leavers have never met. Here is the line they can't say out loud yet because they don't know it yet. We left too early. We left before the good part. So here is the name for the thing they are about to discover. Chosen one. What grew in the empty room. The version of you that raised itself after the door closed, with no witness, no audience, no one standing over it deciding what it was allowed to become. That is what they left, and that is what they can no longer have, because a thing raised in absence does not have a door for the ones who caused the absence. Look around your own life for a moment. Not the big story, the small rooms, the ordinary ones, where this same law runs quietly under everything. There is a house somewhere right now where a person was told for years exactly who they were. Too quiet, too much, too soft, not enough. And they believed it the way you believe the voice that is closest to you. And then that voice left, and for a while the person just ached in the silence. But somewhere in that silence, with no one there to correct them, they tried something the old voice would never have allowed. And it worked. And they tried another thing. And slowly, in a house that felt like a tomb, they became a person the old voice would not recognize on the street. There is a workplace somewhere where the one everybody overlooked finally stopped being managed by people who had decided years ago exactly how far they could go. The manager left, the team scattered, and in the gap, that overlooked person did the work they were never given room to do. And it turned out the ceiling was never theirs. It was borrowed. It came off the moment the people holding it down walked away. There is a friendship somewhere that ended, and one of the two spent a season certain they had lost the better half of themselves. And then, without the constant low commentary of someone who had them figured out, that person got quiet enough to hear their own actual voice for the first time in years, did not like how small they had been asked to make it, and never made it that small again. The pattern is everywhere once you see it. Somebody leaves, convinced they are leaving behind a finished, fixed, fully known thing. And the finished thing turns out to have been a held-down thing. And the moment the hand comes off, it stands up to a height nobody in the old story ever measured. So here is the law underneath all of it. You cannot grow to your full size in front of the people who need you small. Say that to yourself twice. Not because they were cruel. Some of them loved you in the only way they knew how. But love that has decided who you are is a ceiling with a soft touch. It holds you down gently, and you will mistake the gentleness for safety and the ceiling for the sky, right up until the day it is removed and you discover how much taller the room always was. You have been standing up into that missing ceiling for a while now. You just didn't have the words for it. You thought you were coping, you were expanding, which raises the obvious problem, chosen one. If the leaving was the beginning of the best of you, then why did it hurt like an ending? Because you could not see the shape of it from inside it. Nobody can. When the door closes, all you have is the cold and the quiet and the missing person. And the mind does the only thing it knows how to do with an absence. It calls it a loss. It writes the story as subtraction. The heart is a very poor accountant. It counts what left and never counts what the leaving made room for. It sees the empty chair and never sees the empty room. And the empty room was the whole gift. The pain was real. I am not going to talk you out of it. But the pain was the labor pain of a version of you that could only be born in private. And you have been treating the delivery as a death. And now that thing is grown. Now it stands. And the ones who walked out are about to turn around. For whatever reason people turn around. Curiosity, need, an idle wondering on an ordinary afternoon. And they are going to see it standing there, full height, nothing of them in it. And the room is going to go cold because they will understand all at once that they did not just leave a person. They left before the person arrived. So let me show you exactly how this works, chosen one. 12 pieces. One at a time, in the order it actually happens, so you can recognize each stage while you are standing inside it. But first, this is the part where the room thins out. Some of you came here out of curiosity. You saw the title. You felt a small pull. You clicked. There is no judgment in that, none at all. But right about now, the merely curious start to drift. This stops being a comfortable thing to listen to and starts being specific. And specific is uncomfortable when it names something you are still standing in. So they go looking for the next voice, the next promise, the next thing that asks less of them. Let them go. This was never built to hold everyone. It was built to hold you. The ones this was made for are doing the opposite right now. You are leaning in. You got quieter. Something in your chest went still, the way it does when a stranger says your own private thought out loud, in your own voice, in a room they were never supposed to be able to see into. If that is you, chosen one, do this one thing. Go down to the comments and drop the number 999. Just that, 3 nines. Not for luck, not because it is trending, not because 3 digits on a screen change anything about your life. They don't. Drop it because 999 is the number of a thing completing, the end of one full turn, the last number before everything rolls over into new. Drop it as a quiet hand raised in a dark room, a plain signal that you are locked in, that you intend to hear this all the way to the end, and that you know, somewhere under your ribs, that a season is finishing in you tonight. I will see it, others will see it, and they will know they are not the only ones sitting with this in the dark right now. And while you are down there, the like and the subscribe keep this reaching the ones who need it. Now, 12 pieces. Here is the first. Number 1. The moment the room went cold. They did not go cold because of anything you did. They went cold because of what they finally saw standing where they left a smaller thing. Picture the moment it happens for them. It is not dramatic. There is no confrontation, no scene, no speech. Maybe they see you across a room. Maybe a mutual someone says your name and adds a detail that does not fit the picture they have carried of you for years. Maybe they simply hear, secondhand, what you have become, and something in the description refuses to sit down inside the old file they kept on you. And in that instant, the file breaks, because they had you filed. Everyone who walks out keeps a copy of the last version they saw, files it under closed, and stops updating it. That is the whole convenience of leaving. You get to keep the person frozen at the moment you left them, small enough to have been right to go. And then, all at once, the frozen file does not match the standing fact, and the mind has to admit it stopped watching too soon. Imagine this. A person plants a slow tree at the edge of a property and then moves away, carrying in their memory a picture of a thin, bare stick, waist high, easy to have walked past, easy to have left. Years pass. They come back down that road for some unrelated reason, not thinking about the tree at all. And where the stick should be, there is a full crown throwing shade across the whole yard, roots buckling the pavement, a thing that has clearly been alive and working and reaching for every one of the years they were gone. They stop the car. They do not get out, because the tree is a clock. It is standing there telling them exactly how long they have been gone, and exactly how wrong they were about what they left. In a language they cannot argue with, because you cannot argue with a trunk. That is the cold chosen one. It is not anger. It is the vertigo of a person realizing the thing they left kept growing after they stopped looking, and that all the time they thought had simply passed was time in which you were becoming the exact thing they decided you would never be. They thought leaving ended the story. Leaving only ended their access to it. It kept writing itself in the room they abandoned, and now they are holding an ending that stopped being true the day after they left. Here is the line they can't say out loud. We closed the book on a chapter that had barely started. No, you did not miss a step. No, you did not do something wrong to make the room go cold. You simply stood at your real height, where someone who had underestimated you could finally see it. And the cold was theirs, not yours. The cold was not a judgment. It was a measurement they did not want to take. Number 2. What their leaving actually was. It was not a verdict on your worth. It was a lid coming off, and you rose to meet the missing air. They left, and you read the leaving as a review, as a grade, as the world's considered opinion of your value, delivered by someone who knew you well enough to be believed. That is how leaving always lands first, as information about you. If I were worth staying for, they would have stayed. The logic is airtight, and it is completely false. And untangling it is going to give you back years. Because a person leaves for reasons that live entirely inside them. They leave because they reached the edge of what they could hold. They leave because staying would have required them to grow alongside you, and they were not willing. They leave because the version of you beginning to emerge was already too large for the small room they wanted to keep you both in. And rather than expand the room, they walked out of it. None of that is a fact about your worth, chosen one. All of it is a fact about their ceiling. Imagine this, a pot with a plant in it that has quietly outgrown the space, roots pressed in circles against the walls, no one aware, because from the top everything still looks contained. And one day the pot cracks, not because anyone struck it, because what was growing inside finally exceeded what was holding it. And a person walking by sees the broken pot and thinks something went wrong, something failed, something was lost. Nothing failed. The pot did exactly what a pot does when the thing inside it has gotten too large to be contained. The break was not the tragedy. The break was the announcement that the growing was already done and the container was the only thing that hadn't been told. Some of the people who left you were pots, chosen one, and the crack you grieved was the sound of you having already, quietly, outgrown the space they had for you. They did not leave because you were too little. On some level they could not name. They left because you were becoming too much, and the shape they knew how to love only came in one size. Here is the line they can't say out loud. It wasn't that we stopped seeing something in them. It's that we started seeing too much. So no, their leaving was not a measurement of what you are worth. It was a measurement of what they could carry, and you were simply heavier than their arms. You did not lose value the day they left. You revealed too much of it to be held by someone that size. Number 3. What grew in the empty room? In the absence of every eye that had decided who you were, you finally became who you actually are, and that person is not available to the ones who left. This is the reveal, chosen one. So slow all the way down with me, because this is the thing I made you wait for. What they left is not a wounded person who misses them. That is the story they will comfort themselves with if they never look too closely. That somewhere you are still standing by the door, diminished, hoping. What they actually left is a version of you that could only have come into existence after they were gone. The unwatched self, the one that raised itself in the quiet, with no audience to perform smallness for, and no old voice to fold every new thing back into the shape of the familiar. And here is why they can never have that version. It is structural. That self was grown specifically in their absence. Its whole spine was built out of not being watched by them. Its independence is not an attitude it holds against them. It is the material it is made of. You cannot hand a person raised in freedom back to the ones whose leaving was the freedom. The absence is not a wound in this version of you. The absence is the load-bearing wall. And before we go any deeper, chosen one, do one small thing. If this is landing where it was meant to land, drop 999 in the comments, not for me, but as a quiet hand raised in a crowded room, a way of saying, I am here, I am one of the ones this was written for. 999, the number of a cycle finishing, a season closing on time, a thing completed. Leave it below and let the next chosen one see they are not the only one who stayed. Imagine this, a room in a house, sealed off after someone leaves, no light let in, no visitor, and everyone assumes that inside it is only dust and stillness and the cold of a place nobody tends. But something took root in that room, in the dark, patient, and it did not need the light the way ordinary things do. It learned to make its own way without it, grew strange and strong and entirely self-sufficient, put down roots into the very floorboards. And years later, someone finally opens that sealed door expecting an empty room, and what they find has made the room its own so completely that there is no longer any way for them to walk in and live there. It does not have a place for them. It grew a life that assumed they were never coming back and built accordingly, all the way to the walls. That is what they left, Chosen One. Not a person waiting to be returned to, a life that grew, floor to ceiling, on the foundation of their absence, with no vacancy for the ones who caused it. They think, if they think about it at all, that they left a door open behind them. There is no door anymore. You grew where the door used to be. Here is the line they can't say out loud. They didn't lock us out. They built where the entrance was. No, you did not become cold. You did not become hard. You became whole in a way that simply happens to have no opening on the side where they walked out. That is not revenge. That is architecture. What grew in the empty room was never going to have a door for the ones who emptied it. Number 4. Why they had to leave for this to happen. The thing you became could not have been born with them in the room, and on some level you have always known it. Here is a hard mercy, Chosen One, and I am going to hand it to you gently, but I am going to hand it to you. The people who walked out did not sabotage your growth. They enabled it by leaving. The very thing you have grieved was the precondition for the very thing you are proudest of. You could not have become this while they were still standing there. I am not asking you to be grateful to them. Gratitude is not owed for a gift they did not mean to give. But I am asking you to see the mechanism clearly, because seeing it is how you get free. As long as they were present, some part of you was oriented toward them, managing them, reading them, shaping yourself to their weather, keeping yourself the size that kept the peace. That orientation is not a small tax. It is most of your energy. It is the whole current of you, bending sideways toward a person instead of forward toward yourself. And no seed grows sideways for long. It grows where the pull is. When they left, the pull changed direction. For the first time, there was nothing to bend toward, and all that current that had gone into managing them turned and went into you. Imagine this: a river held in a channel that bends it away from the valley it was always meant to feed, walled and directed for so long that everyone forgets the water ever wanted to go anywhere else. And then, in a season of storms, the wall gives, quietly in the night. And the water does not mourn the wall. The water simply remembers its true grade and goes where the land actually falls. And the valley that had been dry for a generation turns green in a single season, from a flood that everyone downstream called a disaster, and the valley called an arrival. The wall coming down looked like the loss. The wall coming down was the only thing that had ever stood between the water and the ground it was born to reach. The ones who left were the wall, Chosen One. And I am not calling them evil for it. Walls are not evil. They are just in the way. But do not spend one more night mourning the wall while standing in a valley that only turned green because it came down. Here is the line they can't say out loud. We were the thing in the way, and we didn't find out until we moved. No, you did not need them to become who you are. That is the cleanest, coldest, kindest fact in all of this. You needed the room they were taking up. And the day they gave it back, without meaning to, you filled it, floor to ceiling, with yourself. They did not leave and stunt you. They left and unbent you. The growing started the moment the pull let go. Number 5. What they are seeing now. They are not mourning a person. They are recalculating a decision. And the number keeps coming out worse. Something specific happens in the ones who left, in the moment the new you comes into their view. It is not grief exactly, though it might wear grief's clothes for a while. Grief is for something that ended. What they are feeling is closer to a recount, because a person who leaves has to justify the leaving, has to carry a private ledger in which the choice to walk out comes out net positive. It had to be right. It had to be worth it. The story of their own good judgment depends on you having been, in fact, a thing worth leaving. And now the standing evidence of who you became is quietly ruining that ledger. Every good thing they hear about you is a debit against the story they told themselves. They cannot celebrate your growth. Your growth is the interest accruing on a decision they can never take back. So they do what people do when the numbers turn against them. They go back to the beginning and re-add the column, looking for the line where it still comes out in their favor. Imagine this: a person who sold something in a hurry, cheap, glad to be rid of it, certain it was worthless. An old painting, a piece of land, a thing they could not wait to unload. And they moved on, satisfied with the deal. And then, years later, they see what it became in the buyer's hands. The land with a house on it. The painting behind glass in a room people pay to enter. And they are not happy for the new owner, chosen one. They are standing very still, doing arithmetic, rerunning the sale in their mind, hunting for the version of the story where they were still smart to let it go. There is no such version, and the not finding of it is a particular kind of cold that settles in and does not leave. That is where the ones who left you live now, not in anger at you. In a recount, they cannot make balance, because the thing they sold cheap turned out to be the thing. You might wonder why they cannot simply be glad for you, wish you well. Because being glad would require admitting the leaving cost them something real, and admitting that reopens the whole question of whether they should have left at all. It is cheaper to go cold than to go honest. So they go cold, and the cold is not aimed at you. It is aimed at the version of themselves that made the call. Here is the line they can't say out loud. We let them go right before they became everything we thought they'd never be. No, their coldness is not a message about you. It is the sound of a decision failing to justify itself over and over in the mind of the one who made it. Let them recount. The number is not going to move. You made sure of that in every unwatched night they weren't there to see. Number 6. The door that isn't there anymore. It is not that you locked them out. It is that you grew a life with no entrance on the side they left from. There is a fantasy the ones who leave allow themselves, and it is quietly dissolving right now. The fantasy is the open door, the idea that whatever they did, however they left, there remains somewhere in you a way back. That if they ever chose to return, the room would be as they left it, the chair still warm, the welcome still standing. People leave so easily, in part because they believe leaving is reversible, that they are not closing a door so much as stepping through one they can always step back through. What they are discovering is that a room grows around an absence. It does not stay hollow, waiting. It heals over. The space they left did not remain a doorway shaped like them. It filled in, the way skin fills in over a place where something was removed. And now the surface is whole and continuous, and there is simply no opening there anymore. Not sealed, grown past. Imagine this, a tree with a rope tied around it when it was young, a rope someone meant to come back and untie and never did. And the tree does not spend its life resenting the rope. It simply keeps growing, and the trunk swells year over year around and past the thing, until one day the rope is not on the tree, it is in the tree, swallowed, part of the wood, and there is no undoing it, and no getting to it, and no version of the tree that does not simply include the sealed-over place where the rope used to be. The tree did not fight the rope. It outgrew it into irrelevance. That is the gentlest and most final closing there is. That is what happened to the door they left open, Chosen One. You did not slam it. You did not lock it out of spite. You just kept growing night after night, and the growth closed the opening the way a trunk closes over a rope. Not as an act of anger, as an act of being alive. And now there is only you, whole, grown right across the place where the way in used to be. Here is the line they can't say out loud. We always thought we could go back. We just found out back isn't a place anymore. No, you do not have to close the door on them. That is the part that makes it final instead of dramatic. You do not have to do anything. The door closed itself, from the inside, cell by cell, in the ordinary work of you continuing to become. There is nothing to forgive and nothing to defend, because there is no door. They left one open. You grew one shut. And a thing grown shut does not open again. Number 7. Their sleepless accounting. They are not lying awake missing you. They are lying awake counting what they left, and the count will not sit still. Watch what happens to a person, Chosen One, once they truly grasp what they walked away from. It is not sorrow that keeps them up. Sorrow, at least, softens. What settles on them instead is arithmetic, the same restless midnight adding that finds anyone who lets something priceless go for reasons that seemed sufficient at the time. They go back through it. Every warning sign of who you were becoming that they dismissed. Every early sign of the growth they mistook for a phase. They hunt for the moment they should have stayed, the exact fork where the good judgment turned into the great mistake. And they cannot find one moment because there was never one moment. There was a slow accumulation of small dismissals, 1,000 tiny decisions to keep you filed as finished, and you cannot go back and fix 1,000 small things. You cannot even locate them. So the count never resolves, and an unresolved count does not fade with time. It circles. It waits until the lights are off and the day's noise dies down, and then it starts adding again from the top. Imagine this, a person going through an old box long after a move and finding, folded in the bottom, the thing they were sure they had thrown away, the letter they should have answered, the offer they should have taken, the small good thing they let go without weighing. And they sit on the floor with it in their hands as the room goes dark around them, not crying exactly, just counting, running the alternate life where they chose differently, unable to put the thing back in the box and unable to change what already happened. The box does not close again the same way. Once you have seen what was in the bottom of it, the box is a different box forever. That is the ledger the ones who left are keeping now. Not a love letter to you, a running tally of a decision they cannot reverse and cannot stop rereading. Notice what this costs them, chosen one. Their attention is divided now, permanently. Part of them is living their life, and part of them is back in the doorway, rereading the leaving for the tell they missed. And a person auditing an old decision is not building a new one. They have taken themselves partly off the board and do not know it yet. Here is the line they can't say out loud. We keep looking for the moment we should have stayed, and it isn't a moment. It's all of it. No, you do not have to keep them up at night. You do not have to do anything at all. The version of you they left does the whole job, simply by existing at the height it reached without them. Let them count. The column was theirs to balance, and it never will. Number 8. Why walking back in is impossible now. It is not too late because you are punishing them. It is too late because the room they knew how to enter no longer exists. Here is the piece the title promised, chosen one, and I want to lay it down precisely because it is easy to hear as bitterness, and it is not bitterness. It is physics. The ones who left know how to enter one specific room, the room they left. They have a key shaped like the old you. They know where the chair was, how the light fell, what to say to be let in, because they knew that version of you intimately, which is exactly why they felt safe walking out on it. And their whole idea of return runs on that knowledge. If they ever come back, they will come back to that room, with that key, expecting that chair. But that room is gone, not hidden, gone. You did not move the chair. You built a different house on the site. The person who could be entered by knowing the old you cannot be entered anymore, because the old you was the door, and the old you is not who lives here now. Their key does not fit a person reforged in their absence. It was cut for someone who no longer exists. Imagine this. A traveler who leaves a village and carries in their memory the map of it, every street, every shortcut, the well in the square, the house on the corner, and they are certain that whenever they choose to return, that map will get them home. But a village is a living thing, and in the years they are gone, it grows. Streets are laid where fields were, the square is moved, the old house is replaced by something that was not there before. And the traveler comes back at last, holding a perfect map of a place that no longer exists, and stands at the edge of a village that has no memory of them, unable to find a single corner they knew, a stranger holding directions to a vanished town. That is why it is too late, chosen one, not because you barred the way, because they are holding a map of a person rebuilt past every landmark on it. They could walk every street of the old you and never once arrive, because the streets moved, in the dark, in the years they weren't looking. Here is the line they can't say out loud. We know the way back to a place that isn't there. No, you are not being cruel by being unreachable. You are simply being new. Too new for an old key. The lateness is not a punishment you are administering. It is a fact of geography. They are early to a village that grew, and late to a person who moved past every corner they knew. Too late is not a door you shut on them. It is a place you already left. Number 9. Why some of them come back different. When a person feels the new you before they understand it, they do not return with love. They return with recalculation, and it arrives too late to matter. Some of them will try, chosen one. Not all, but some. You will feel the temperature change. The one who was dismissive goes warm. The one who walked out sends the oddly careful message. The casual reaching back. The let's catch up that pretends the leaving never happened. And a soft, old part of you will want to read it as the return you once ached for. As proof they finally see you. As the apology arriving at last. Let me tell you what it actually is, so you are not moved by it wrongly. They did not soften because they grew. They softened because they got new information. Somewhere they encountered the fact of who you became, and it reorganized their estimate of you. And a person whose estimate of you has gone up comes back not out of love, but out of appetite. They are not returning to the person they left. They are approaching the person they heard about. Those are two different motions, and only one of them is about you. Imagine this. A person who let a field go fallow, walked off it, called it worthless dirt, and left it to the weather for years. And then one season they pass and see it gold with wheat standing tall, worked by no one they can see, feeding on nothing but time and rain and its own deep patience. And suddenly they are very interested in the field again. They come back to the fence with warm words about how they always knew there was something in that ground. But they are not in love with the field, chosen one. They are hungry for the harvest. And the field, which grew that wheat entirely without them, owes them exactly nothing, and knows it, and stands in the wind, not needing a single thing they have come to offer. That is the return when it comes, not repentance, reassessment, and it arrives always too late to have been the thing you needed, which was for them to stay when you were still a bare field and believe in the wheat before it was standing. Here is the line they can't say out loud. We didn't come back for who they are. We came back for what they turned out to be worth. No, you do not have to be moved by the warm message. You are allowed to receive it or not from your full height with your hands open. Their new interest is real. It is just not about the old need, and the old need is the only door it is looking for, and that door has been grown over for a long time now. They come back warm, but warmth arriving after the winter is just weather. It does not unlive the season you survived alone. Number 10. They cannot name what they are facing. You can miss a person, you cannot get back a version of them that was built out of your absence. Here is the deepest of it, chosen one, the part that finishes the ones who left, and it is not a thing you do to them. It is a thing about the nature of what you became. When they try to understand what happened, they reach for the words they have. They say you changed. They say you got cold or distant or hard. But none of the words fit, because all of them assume you are still the same substance, merely altered. The old you, wearing a new mood, reachable if they find the right key. What they cannot let themselves understand is that it is not a mood, it is a different material. The you they are facing is a person constructed from the ground up out of the fact of their leaving. Their absence is not something that happened to you. It is what you are made of now, and you cannot get back a person made of your absence. That is the sentence they cannot say and cannot escape. Because if the new you was built out of them being gone, then their coming back does not restore anything. It just introduces the one element the whole structure was designed without. There is no adding them back in. The blueprint assumes them gone. They are trying to re-enter a building whose entire integrity depends on the fact that they left. Imagine this: a person standing in front of a house that was built after they moved away on the empty lot where their old home used to be. And they keep looking for their door, their window, the step they used to sit on, because surely something of the old place remains. But the new house was not built around the old one. The old one was cleared. This house has a different foundation, a different footprint, load-bearing walls exactly where the old front door used to be. There is no non-destructive way for them to get back in, because the strength of the new place is built precisely across the spot where they used to enter. To let them in the old way, you would have to knock down the wall that holds the house up. And you are not going to knock down your own house to give a lever a door. Here is the line they can't say out loud. We can't get back in without breaking the thing we came back for. No, you did not become unreachable to punish anyone. You became load-bearing. The very strength they are now drawn to is built across the place they would have to come through, and the two cannot both exist. They can have the old door or the standing house. They left, and in leaving, they chose. They cannot name it because there is no word for a person you helped build by being gone. There is only the cold of standing in front of it. Number 11, you were never theirs to keep. Nobody loses what was only ever passing through their hands, and you were always on your way to this. There is a posture, chosen one, that you have been carrying without knowing it, and it is time to set it down. It is the posture of the one who was left, the slight bracing, the readiness to be walked out on again, the quiet arrangement of yourself as a thing that people take or leave. You have been standing in your own life a little like a person who expects to be returned, like inventory, like something whose value is decided by whether someone keeps it, but you were never something to be kept. And this is not a wound, chosen one. This is the largest freedom in the whole message. The people who walked out did not lose you because you were never theirs to hold. You were always in motion toward this version of yourself, and they happened to be standing on part of the road, and when the road turned away from them, they mistook that for you leaving them or them leaving you. Neither is quite true. The road simply went where it was always going, and only one of you was willing to keep walking it. Imagine this: a river passing through a town, and the town builds its mills along the banks and comes to think of the water as its own. Our river, the town says, the one that turns our wheels. And the river turns the wheels for a while, because that is where it happens to be flowing. But a river is not owned by the ground it passes over. It is on its way to the sea, and it was on its way before the town was built, and it will be on its way after the town is gone. When the course shifts, as courses do, the town cries that it lost the river. It never had the river. It had the passing of the river, which is a gift, not a possession, and it confused the two, the way people always do with the things that move through them on the way to somewhere larger. You are the river, chosen one. The ones who left thought they had you. They had your passing, and they treated it carelessly, the way people treat what they think they own. And the course shifted, the way courses do, and now they are standing on a dry bank calling it loss. It is not loss. It is just the sea pulling you the way it was always going to. Here is the line they can't say out loud. We thought we had them. We only ever had them on their way to this.